By 2026, the AI startup graveyard is going to be full, and the reason has nothing to do with competition. I'm talking about a fundamental split in how AI models work that's already happening right now, and most founders don't see it coming. Let me set this up. Right now, when you use an AI model, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, or some startup's custom model, you're using what we call a general-purpose model. It's trained on huge amounts of data, it can do a little bit of everything, and it kind of works okay for most things. But it's not actually great at any one specific thing. It's like hiring someone who's read every book but mastered nothing. Here's what's happening in 2026. The market is splitting hard into two camps. On one side, you've got the mega-cap AI companies, OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Meta. They're building massive, expensive foundational models that cost hundreds of millions or billions to train. These are the models that set the baseline. They're getting more capable every year, but they're also getting more locked down. These companies control the hardware, the data pipeline, the training infrastructure. It's a moat. On the other side, you've got everyone else. And that's where the problem lives for startups. Startups right now are trying to compete by building specialized AI models. They pick a vertical, legal documents, medical imaging, customer support, code generation, and they try to fine-tune or build a model that's genuinely better at that specific task than the general-purpose stuff. That's actually a smart strategy. The problem is the economics are completely broken, and nobody's talking about it. Here's why. To build a specialized model that's actually better than what OpenAI or Google can do in your niche, you need training data. High quality, labeled training data. And you need a lot of it. We're talking thousands to millions of examples. You also need compute, GPUs, TPUs, the infrastructure to train and iterate. And you need talent, which is expensive. And you need time. Meanwhile, the big companies are doing something else. They're taking their foundational models and just adding a layer on top. They're creating specialized versions of their general models through fine-tuning, through prompt engineering, through product design. And because they already own the base model, because they already did the trillion-dollar training run, their marginal cost for entering your vertical is basically nothing. They're not starting from scratch. They're just repurposing what they already built. So now you're a startup. You've spent 18 months and maybe $5 million building a specialized legal AI model. Your model is genuinely better at contract analysis than ChatGPT. But OpenAI just released GPT-5, fine-tuned it in 2 weeks for legal work, and charged half your price because they don't need to recoup the R&D. They can afford to lose money on it just to lock you out of the market. Or they buy your biggest customer. Or they hire your team. That's the split. The big companies are building moats. The startups are building niche products on top of someone else's foundation. And that foundation is owned by someone who can always undercut you. Now, there are some startups that will survive this. The ones that are building something that's not just better at a task. They're building something that requires proprietary data or proprietary methods that the big companies can't easily copy. If you're a medical AI startup and you have access to millions of unlabeled hospital records that nobody else has, that's defensible. If you're building a model that runs locally on a phone and doesn't need the cloud, that's a different game. But if you're just trying to out-specialize the specialists, you're fighting a losing battle. The brutal part is this happens gradually, then all at once. For the next year or two, startups will still fundraise, still build, still get customers. Investors will still believe in the story. But by 2026, when the big players have fully entered your market with better products and better margins, the exits dry up. The acquirers disappear. The late-stage funding evaporates. That's when the graveyard fills up. So what do you actually do if you're a founder right now? First, be honest about whether you're building a defensible product or just a thin layer on top of someone else's model. If it's the latter, you need to either find a moat or pivot. Second, if you're building something specialized, make sure you own something the big companies can't easily replicate: proprietary data, unique customers, irreplaceable talent. Third, consider whether you're actually building an AI company or a domain expert company that happens to use AI. Those are different things, and one of them survives 2026. The hard truth is that the age of the AI startup that just fine-tunes a model and sells it is ending. The economics don't work anymore. The moats are too strong. But the startups that build defensible products, that own their data, that solve real problems for real customers, those are going to thrive. The split is happening now. By 2026, you'll know which side you're on. If you're building an AI and you actually want to understand what's coming, subscribe. I break down these structural shifts every few days, and they matter way more than the hype cycle.